Welcome to Beaded Doilies by Shell. In this video we should be able to complete our gift tag. Here we are going up on our pattern and we have 1, 2, 3 center beads, so we want odd. So we want to make sure that our right string is slightly longer. Now we'll go through the top bead of the row we're currently working on, and then the next connecting bead, and we want to make sure that our right string, which we keep our finished rows to the right, so we know which is right. That's our right string. We have it a little bit longer. Now the first two we're going to add will be green. Making sure to keep what is now our left string, which was our right, slightly longer. Go through our next connecting bead. And the next two we're going to add will be red and green. And then we'll add 2 greens. And now we want a green followed by a red. And we've come to the last 2 beads, and we're going to add them 1, 2, and they're both green. So we take the string that went through our connecting bead, which is our right string. It also should be our longer of the 2 strings. And we're going to add 2 green to it. And we're going to go through the top bead on our row, going in towards our finished rows. Then we're going to go down away from the beads we just added, and then back out. And then we will cross the second bead, which both our strings are on either side of, with both of our strings. And that actually finishes up our lettering, and we're ready to begin the next row. We'll cross off those 2, and we're going to add 1, 2, and then cross. You cross off those, and they are all 3 going to be green. So we take the string that is coming away from our row, not along it, and we're going to add 3 greens to it. 1, 2, and the third one we crossed with both strings. And then we go through our connecting bead. And that adds the first 3. And then we continue down, adding our row. And the first 2 is a red followed by a green. Then we have 2 greens. And then we have a red followed by a green. And then we'll finish off the row with all green. That finishes off adding our row, except for the last beads, which we add 1, 2, and cross. And here we want the right string, which is coming towards our finished rows, and we're going to add all green. So we add 1, 2, and then we cross with both strings. Now we're going to add 1, 2, 3, 4, and we are going to be all green here, and this will be the string coming away from our row, not along it. We're going to add 4 green beads to it. And we're going to find the first one again and go through it. And there we have the first 4 beads for this row. And now we're going to add on the row. And the first 2 beads are going to be green. Go through our connecting bead. And our next 2 will also be green. And then the next 2 are going to be red. And then we want a green crossing with a red. And then we want a red crossing with a green. Now we come to the last 2 beads on our row. And I'm going to tie off, so normally I would add 1, 2, but instead I will add both of them to my left string instead of the right, which is the one you normally add to when you're adding your 2. I'm going to add them to my left because I'm going to tie off. They're both green, so we'll add both of them. Then we'll make the first knot, and then the second one, which we go over twice. Don't pull tight yet, just bring it down. Then we go into the last bead we added, and we slip our knot inside, and now we pull tight. Then we thread back through 2 center beads, and we trim off the excess. We've added the last 2 for this row. Now, as we've come to the tapered end, when we begin the next row, we might still want to make it slightly longer, but not as much longer, because the taper is going to make it not get so much longer along the bottom. The top will still cause it to get a little bit longer, but not quite as much longer. So we're going to start at the bottom, and we're going to add our first bead here, because you add the first 4 when you're starting at the bottom, separate from the piece. So we want to add green, and then we'll add to the left and then the right, and those are also green. And then we will cross. And at this point we know we are going up, and we have 0 beads on our piece or row, so we're going up, we have 0 beads, so we want the right to be slightly longer, but like I said, not as much longer, like about so. Oops, sorry, I've already crossed the bead, so my right is now on the left side, so we want that. So bring it down, and we will go through the first connecting bead, which is the very bottom side bead, and we've added our first 4 beads. And we're going to add the next, or mark it on here, we're going to work our way up the row. And the first 2 are going to be green. So as we've now crossed a bead, our string is back on the right side, so we make sure it's longer. Bring down, and then go through our connecting bead. And then we have the next 2 are also green. And then we have 2 more green. Then we want a green crossing with a red. Then we want 2 reds. Now we've come to the last 2 for this row. We're going to add them 1, 2. Go through the connecting bead. Now we want to use the string that went through the connecting bead, which is also the one on the right, the same side as your finished rows, and it also should be your longer of your 2. And we are going to add green to it. So 1, 2, and we'll go through the top bead, then down away from the ones we just added, and back out. Then we'll cross this center bead. And we are ready to begin the next row. And we're going to add 1, 2, and cross. And you want the string that is coming away from your row, not along it. And we're going to add all green. So we need 1, 2, and cross. And go through connecting bead. And then we're going to add our row. And remember, the last two you leave. So we're going to do a red and a green. And then we want two reds. And then two greens. And two more greens. And we've now come to the last two beads on our row, so we're going to add one and then cross. So we want the string that is coming out of our connecting bead here. We want to use that one. It's on the same side as our finished rows. And we're going to add the first bead, which is green. And then we're going to cross with a green. And that finishes off that row. We've added our last two. And we're going to begin the next one. 1, 2, and cross. So we want the string that is coming away from our row, not along it. And these are all greens. We're going to add two greens. And then we are going to cross the third one with both strings. Go through our connecting bead. And you can see the beginning of the taper here on the end. And we've added the first 3 beads of this row. And then we'll work our way up. So the first 2 are going to be green. Next 2 are also going to be green. Next 2 will be red. And we've come to the last 2 beads. We're going to add 1, 2, and we want the bead that went through our connecting bead string that went through our connecting bead, which is also the right string and on the same side as your finished rows. And both beads are going to be green, so we'll go 1, 2, go through the top bead of our row, in towards our finished rows, then down and back out. Now we'll cross the center bead here, and we're going to add 1, 2, and cross. So we want the string coming away, not along our row, and we're going to add 3 green, and the string is getting a bit short, so I'm not going to be able to finish the piece with the string that I have, so you would want maybe another foot piece, and all you would do is you would just finish off adding your row, and then you would add the last 2 and tie your knot. So we'll see how we do. They're all going to be green. We're finishing off our row with green. So I will add them on so you can see. Not going to be able to tie the knot with the string this short, but I can still add them on. And then you'll add both to the left string. And then you would, actually I might be able to do it. It'd be a little tight or snug, but, right, and we go in the top bead, or last bead we added, and pull tight. It's a little harder to pull it tight, but I've managed, and I can even thread back. Now I don't recommend using or going down to this small of string unless you are like this one, right at the very, very end of your piece, and you think you can make it, which we fortunately were able to, because it makes it a little harder to thread back, but not impossible. Come on. There we go. And this side, of course, will be a little easier. And we have it complete. We can actually trim off our pieces and have not even any fingernail polish left on the string. And there we have completed our gift tag. And I hope you have enjoyed creating your gift tag, and I hope you are able to make many, many more. And I hope you have fun making your patterns and your tags. Thank you.